like a boss.
All right, people. So what you guys are about to see is part of my book club, the Robert Greene Book Club, or to meet up the New York City Book Club. Apparently, they don't like the fact that it's a Robert Greene Book Club because they don't like the material in the that's being talked about. I don't fucking get it. Anyways, so yeah, it's the New York City Book Club, and so you guys are gonna see the introduction to the first chapter, the introduction to the book, The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, right? So in that, you're gonna listen to me talk about the introduction and the benefits of understanding the different laws of human nature. And if you guys are in New York City, come to the book club. It's free for everyone, and it's very fun, all right? And if you guys want to attend, if you guys want to purchase the online book club, which is more detailed, more in depth, and yeah, you can go to the website on the link below. You guys could sign up because I already started making the introduction video. I just made another introduction video for the online book club. So go to the link below, and I think all right. Anyway, and on the book club online, you guys can also get the notes that I write down. I write down the notes. Anyways, I'll see you guys inside, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys want one-on-one coaching, go to myforattraction.org. And if you guys are in New York City and want to attend the book club, go to the link below. Take care.
There is a cost in not understanding human nature. You know what I'm saying? There is a real cost in not understanding human nature. And that cost is that you will be blindsided by people's maneuvers and people's manipulation. Because the world around you, they preach that everyone is moral, that everyone is great, that people are out here to help you. And so they actually tell you to trust appearances, you know? And so we notice that we're always being slighted, but we don't know where it comes from. But we notice that there's a war, and the only way we know that there's something going on is through the battle scars that we have. As we look back in our lives, we notice that we're hurt, and that deep down we have some resentment. We don't know where we got that. We don't know why we feel hurt, why we feel anger suddenly, why there's deep emotions inside of us that we can't control. But what that is the hidden war that's going on around you, and those are the battle scars that you have. And so the way to defend yourself against that is to first becoming aware of human nature. And once you become aware of human nature, not just in others, but most importantly in yourself, then you can begin to really change and transcend this person who you call you. Make sense? Good. All right. I think I need that. You have a charger, an iPhone charger? No. All right, borrow it actually, because it's like 10%. We can like switch it on and off and stuff like that. No, you could hold that right there. Actually, yeah, I'll take that. All right, this reminds me a lot when I used to be a Bible teacher when I was 14. Yeah, it's very similar to that. It's similar to this. Yeah. Yeah. And it's very similar to this. And it's funny, I used to teach every Tuesday night. And throughout the whole week, I would read a chapter of the Bible, make my lesson on that, and go to class like this. Except with teenagers, but you know. Yeah, so it was like, it's kind of ironic. Yeah, no, it's fun. All right, so what I'm going to do is, since I took notes, I'm going to read over the notes, but you know, it's just because we're reading over the chapters and stuff like that. All right, so the problem of not understanding human nature is that when you don't see it coming, the effects are deeper. It's like a punch you can't see coming. It hurts you even more, right? This leads us to taking irrational decisions. Not being able to understand people causes you to take wrong action without even knowing it. You could offend someone and they may not even know it. Our understanding of people are based on stories we tell, not on facts, right? This bias, which is the story we tell about people is our own personal biases, right? It is hard for people to really see their behavior because of the bias that we have. People don't like to see themselves as evil, so when they do something bad, they rationalize it. So we all have biases, and these biases affects our decision making. The problem with these biases is that they're like static background noise. They're very quiet, and you only notice it once the refrigerator shuts down. You notice that it was on, right? People are always being influenced by the emotions. We think we're being rational, but if we study most of our decision making, you'll notice that they are primarily irrational. You know, you think you're rational, you think that you're level-headed, you think you're moral, but that's a story you have without no evidence. That's more you rationalizing it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, are you sleeping? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a tough teacher. All right. So the purpose of the laws of human nature is to understand human nature, pretty much. You see, the problem is that a lot of people just don't understand other people, and they get frustrated, and that frustration causes resentment towards the world and towards yourself. Sometimes that resentment causes you to have that victim mentality, because you can't understand people. You assume that just everyone is evil but yourself. But because of your lack of understanding of human nature, not just within others, but within yourself, you don't notice how you sometimes cause these problems. You see what I'm saying? So the introduction is going to talk about the benefits of understanding human nature. You see what I'm saying? So, and the thing is, like, human nature isn't, you see, people think knowing themselves is knowing facts about themselves. Thinking that I am this because of this memory and I'm that because of that memory. That's not really knowing yourself. That's very surface level. Like, I am a doctor, I am a student. That's very surface level. The real depth of who you are is in the emotional circuitry that lies deep inside of yourself, under the surface of all of the labels that you have of your life. Those are your emotional reactions. Those are the underlying emotion that motivates you to take this decision over that. That's really knowing yourself. The problem is that it's very difficult to translate emotions into language. It's very difficult because those emotions, you need references and you need time to really understand them. And most people don't have that patience, because what you need patience for is you got to be able to deal with the pain. And that requires you to stay in those moments of turmoil, to observe your reactions. And that's when you get to know yourself. But you got to fuck up in order to know yourself. You see what I'm saying? And that's how you know other people. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting very ahead of myself. All right. So understanding human nature will do the following, right? Make you a calm observer of people so that you won't take things as personal. That's actually one of the most important ones, not taking things as personal. And actually, isn't that one of the laws of the 4 agreements? Don't take things personal, some shit like that, right? Anybody heard that book? No? Okay. So most of the time, things are not that personal. It's like when you reject someone, most of the time it's not personal. Most of the time you reject them because you're just having a bad day. You know what I'm saying? You're usually dealing with past traumas that you don't have a thing to do about. Most of the time, they're just projecting the things they want to see and expect. You see? So most of the time, the things that people do to you, they're not personal, but for some reason, it feels personal. I mean, it just feels like everything is done to us. You see what I'm saying? And so because of that thinking, you can create space to really understand people's motives, because you already are placing motives in people. So you say to yourself, I don't even need to think inside their heads because I know what's in their heads. That's another bias coming up. You think you know everything, so that creates a veil between understanding yourself primarily and understanding other people. You see, understanding people comes in conjunction with understanding yourself. There is no middle ground. In order to understand people, you got to fully understand yourself first. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So understanding these laws will make you an amazing reader of people. Okay. You will learn to slow the fuck down. All right. Not take first impressions as seriously. And that's a big one right there, first impression. First impression is a huge one because like, you'll notice how, like, you apply for a job and everyone's nice until they get acclimated to you, and then everyone's like, all right, this dude again. You see what I'm saying? And that's a big one, because sometimes first impressions, we're so easily fooled by first impressions because people do take first impressions seriously. They do take it seriously. But that's like the pinnacle of surface level understanding of people. It's just one time, it's one day. It takes months to know people. It's a fluid thing. It's not a one-time thing, because people are very good at having different fronts. You know what I'm saying? So you will learn to slow down, not take first impressions that seriously, and take your time in getting to know people. You will see that most of the traits you see on the outside are overcompensation of the opposite. That's why I'm very weary of people who give a lot of money to charity in a public way. I'm always weary. I'm like, why do you feel the need to show us how good you are? Why the need? Not just the act, good, you're feeding the kids, but what's that emotion that's motivating you? Is that a distraction? It's not being cynical. It's just learning how to question reality. You see, people take offense to that. Like, yo, what do you got to question people? No, you just have to question things. Without questioning the status quo, discoveries couldn't have been made. That most of the biggest discoveries came because there was some dude questioning the status quo. You see what I'm saying? So you will see that most of the traits you see on the outside are overcompensation of the opposite. Like people who are against gay people, and then they find out they're gay. You know? Like that one. That one's a big one. Or guys who are male feminist. Like that's another one. And in Hollywood, you'll see like, oh, I'm against sexual assault. Then you find out they did that too. You know, it's always like that. It's like they're trying to say, don't look at me. So, and I can see that in my life. I can remember many times when for example, one time I had this. This girl came from Florida and we rented a room in New York City, and we were in this sketchy house. And this couple were like, yo, you guys want to get a beer? They gave me a free beer. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I was young and naive. And then a few days later, the dude asked me for $40, right? And I gave it to him, expecting him to give it back. You know, never heard from him again. The point was that he was doing that, not because he was nice, but because he wanted to oil me down, right? Lube me and relax me so that he could give me so I could give him the money, right? I didn't see through that. You see, so all good acts of sudden goodness, like, I don't know, like people having a book club and just giving out information for no reason, we should always be wary of that. Always be wary of that, even though they may tell you that in their face. You know, we should always be wary about that kind of stuff because those people shouldn't be trusted. So the small red flags that people send out will mean things. You see what I'm saying? You see, you see stuff like that, right? But the thing is, someone who's really deceiving you wouldn't tell you in your face. Or would they? You know? Right? So the small red flags that people send out will mean things. You see, and that's the thing is that when you're dating someone or anything in life, when you like them and they give you those red flags, you just wave them off because you like them. And without you knowing it, those are your emotions acting up. Your emotion says, I like him, I like her, or I like her, I like her, or that's my this or that, my mom, my aunt, they wouldn't hurt me. So you just brush it off. Right now, you're choosing to be blind to reality. Your friends ditch you, and you just brush it off. And that's painful though. You know, it's painful because if you look at the reality, you might find out that you may not have friends. Oh shit, that shit is depressing, right? But that's the reality that people are trying to avoid, and you rationalize all of the negative things you see, and then years pass by, you're wasting your time with them, and the inevitable happens. You have no friends. Why? Because you weren't being rational. That's what the first chapter talks about. You know, so the small red flags that people send out will mean things. You won't put it under the rug. In the past, you ignored those contrary qualities. Now you give them even more weight. Like those sudden flashes of anger, or let's say you're late and they just get mad at you for no reason. You usually ignore it. You ignore it through thinking of the good times. But you should really put more weight in that because it was a time when he got emotional. He or she got emotional. And when people get emotional, they show you the true sides. You know, it sucks though because sometimes you're like, fuck, man, like you ruined it. You ruined my fantasy, but you got to live in reality or live in a fantasy world. And when you live in a fantasy world, man, things are changing around you and you never catch up with the time until it's too late. You know, and that's one of the parts that sucks is that sometimes you gotta. It's like knowing you have a heart problem. You can either ignore it or go to the doctor. You know, either way, you're gonna die of heart problems if you don't check it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, number 3, another benefit of understanding is that these laws will help you deal with the toxic people in your life. They will show you how to strategize in advance, which is the best way to deal with them or avoid them, right? When you know this, these people will not bother you, but excite you because you get to apply what you learn, you know? So, when it comes to other toxic people, again, it comes down to the first benefit of understanding this is that you won't take things personal no more, you know. And so because you don't take things personal, you're able to deal with people who are close to you with a different attitude, with an air of almost like you're excited to apply this. For example, if a girl suddenly stops texting me, I'm excited because I'm like, all right, now it's time to pull back. Now it's time to see what's gonna happen now, you know. So understanding the strategy will give you, hopefully, you see the point is that hopefully with applying it, you can get excited to apply this because you're like, all right, I see this in someone, let me use this. It should bring excitement. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's a different way of reframing things in our lives, you know. So number 4, understanding these laws will give you the ability to know how to influence people and do what you want them to do. You see, Because you can't just, it's kind of like a child. When you don't understand psychology of people, most parents who are emotional, they will force their kids to study. They will force their kids to do this and that without them knowing that they're stifling their desire to learn. Understanding human nature is, all right, this kid is this kid is that. Let me adjust my parenting style based on the kid. And also understanding human nature, that kids want rewards. Kids don't like to feel like they're forced to do things. And so, but when you just do things your way, you're neglecting human nature. That's what you gotta understand, is that sometimes we don't get what we want out of people because we just do it. We just go about them the wrong way. We go about them emotionally. I want a relationship right now. You know, I want it right now. And then because you want it right now, you push them away. As opposed to acting like you don't want something. You know, acting aloof. Heck, even pulling away. Making them desire, making them ask themselves, does she like me? And then once they're in a state of desire, of wanting to know where they stand in your mind, then you can tell them what you want, and they'll be more receptive, right? But when you don't understand human nature, when you're still acting as a child, when I mean as a child, is that children have the way that children get what they want is through demanding it. Or when you're a child and you don't have the ability to communicate in verbal ways, the way you control the world around you is by pushing things, pulling things, and using real force. As you grow older, you learn how to use your charisma, how to use your charm, how to calm people down. But the most primitive way of influencing is through using force. Most people don't grow out of that. They never grow out of that because things happen in their lives, and because the pain that they experience in their lives can be so great that they don't know how to cope with it. So they revert back to a childlike way of dealing with negative problems through using force, telling you what to do. You better change or else, right? And so that causes resistance in people. And they fail to notice, why don't people like me? Bitch, because you're an asshole. That's why. That's why people don't like you, and you just don't see it. You see what I'm saying? What? Yeah, it's and the reason why they don't see it is because they're just so consumed with their emotions and their desires that they can't think, how can I get them to do what they want while adjusting to their own ways of thinking. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to influence people properly, you got to understand these laws. And by understanding these laws, you will not only be able to influence them, but yourself as well, right? So let me read what it says. So by understanding that people are resistant to new ideas, you learn to first break them down and lower their defenses, and then insinuate your ideas. Insinuate. Not directly tell them, insinuate your ideas. You will learn how to see what their insecurities are, learn to navigate around them, and find out what their self-interests are. Right? That's a big one. Finding out what their self-interests are. But when you're just focusing on getting your self-interest, then you will never be able to influence people because you don't understand that human nature is first, humans are self-interested creatures. We tell you that we're not self-interested for the sake of the tribe. For the sake of our social status, not being labeled as a selfish person, because that could alienate you. You know, so you communicate goodness. But in reality, what's truly motivating people is self-interest. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's human nature. You see, if you don't understand human nature, you would resent that fact. But because it's human nature, you got to accept it. Does that make sense? All right. So the fifth thing. You guys liking this? Is that okay? So the laws will show you how human nature operates inside of you, giving you more control to alter your self-destructive patterns. Most of the time, when you do something bad, you blame your circumstance rather than just human nature acting out through you. Excuse me. This becomes a personal blind spot, right? Because you never really blame yourself and you're blaming everyone about yourself. This becomes a huge blind spot. I mean, it's tremendous. This happens a lot in dating too with guys. You know, they hate that women are so goddamn aloof. I understand. And you women too, you guys don't understand why you behave this way. You're like, fuck, why don't, you know, it's like, you know, why do I lose interest when guys like me? I don't understand it. And they laugh too. And I'm like, yeah. That's how you are, you know. But we don't even understand ourselves why we act the way we act. And so we become a victim to our own nature. You see what I'm saying? So understanding this human nature will take you out of the realm of not understanding yourself and also not resenting people's actions, because you'll be able to understand them and have context. You'll be like, all right, this is just how people are. You know, and as a result, you have more of an open mind. You won't hold resentment, which is one of the best things in the world. nothing's better than just seeing people as they are because they don't hurt you anymore. You know, like you're like it's not like a personal attack. It's just like, oh, it's human nature. All right. Well, how can I deal? How can I deal with this? You'll be able to deal with things with more mental clarity. Make sense? Okay. So you will become better. You will become better at noticing in others because it's in you. You see? So yeah, that's exactly right. You will become better at noticing people and understanding people because you notice the things in yourself. And look, and that's the secret behind how I know the things I know, quote unquote, because I had to learn it myself. And I had to look at myself. I had to look at what I lack. I had to look at what is she doing that's making me needy? What is she doing that makes me like her? And because of that, because of me understanding myself, when I hear people's experience, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Oh, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. Right? So a deep understanding of yourself will also give you access to people's minds and understanding them as well. Make sense? All right. Yeah, the internet is really bad right here. Okay. So also, this will lead to self-acceptance, right? And this is important, which will help you be more of yourself. No more being fake. People will be drawn to your genuine nature. So understanding the laws in yourself, understanding your selfish nature, understanding how fucked up it could be, does lead to self-love. Because you just understand this is just part of my nature. I'm not saying that it's okay to be an asshole, right? What I'm saying is it's not okay to be an asshole and not know you're an asshole. You know, like first have the key to first changing is having a deep awareness of your nature, right? And when you have this deep awareness of who you are, it's an awareness of yourself is an acceptance of yourself. You see what I'm saying? And so what happens is that leads to you being more genuine. You know, you're not in conflict with your dark side. You're not trying to hide how fucked up you are. You know, but you're also not fucking praising how fucked up you are, though. You're just balanced inside. And when you have that inner balance, it allows you to know yourself, have less conflict, and also present yourself to the world without being ashamed of who you are. Make sense? All right, cool. Yo, this internet, horrible. Holy shit, this is bad internet. Yeah, literally. Let me close it. Any questions? Anything? No? All right, good. The sixth one. Yeah, I'm into this live stream. This is like horrible. Hey, how's the charge? Yeah, you can take it. All right, so the sixth one. These laws will increase your empathic abilities, which will deepen your bond with others, right? You see, a lot of the conflict we have with other people are simple misunderstandings. Like, how many times people misunderstood you? Just think about that. Think about how many times, like, from their perspective, it looks like you were wrong, but you know deep down it wasn't intentional. That happens a lot, right? And so a big part of how can I say that? A big part of creating strong bonds with people is being able to stop thinking about your problem and be able to see inside of themselves. Even though they're wrong, look deep inside them and see how they think they're right. You know, not in a way to find the flaws in their ideas, but to simply understand them, right? Naturally, you will become more open to them because they will feel it, and as a result, the bonds with them will get stronger. But when you're not able to do this, you will always be in conflict with people and creating bitter enemies that they will hurt you, but they're willing to wait. You see what I'm saying? So not having empathy with people will cause unnecessary problems, not just in your life, but in your career and your creativity and how you feel in general about yourself. You know, because the way people see you does affect the way you see yourself. I don't care how many times you say, I don't give a fuck what people say, you know. We all say that, but we do give a fuck what people say, you know. So these empathic abilities will give you greater insight in not only people, but to life. You will learn to think inside of things and shut off your own dialogue to allow the world to bathe you with its information at an intuitive level. It's all pre-verbal, right? It's like just being able to think inside people is something that has no words. You're just feeling what it is to be them, right? It's a superpower that most people don't know they have because they just don't try, you know? It's all pre-verbal. This power was given to us by our ancestors. You will observe through empathy and analyze the experience afterwards. In other words, when you talk to people, usually you're having your own assumption. You're like, all right, this dude is an asshole, or this dude is this dude is that, right? And so as a result, you shut off any information that they send that could be contradicting to that belief that you have with them, because it's not what I think of you. So they may save the world, and you're like, this dude is just an asshole. He's just doing it to gain praise, you know. So when you shut your inner dialogue, you're just looking at everything in one place, everything in general, right? And so what happens is that you look and you observe. You're not analyzing, you're not saying this, you're not saying that, you're just looking at experience, right? And then once you bathe yourself with all of the information on the person, then you can use your rational mind to put everything together. But most of the time we put everything together and then we observe. And it's not how it works. You see what I'm saying? It's like, for example, something that I've been reading Leonardo da Vinci's biography, and what made him amazing at what he was is he first observed and then formulated his theories based on observation. So it wasn't like he read a book on how the heart works or how this or that works and then looked at the experience, because then he'll be looking at what they said. Like, all right, let me see that concept. What he did was he allowed himself to bathe himself in the uncertainty and just begin to look for patterns. He just looks. Oh, interesting. Now, oh, fuck that. It's kind of like with women. She rejects me. Oh, fuck that bitch. She rejects me. Oh, fuck that bitch. She rejects me. Oh, fuck her, right? As opposed to she rejects me. Interesting. She rejected me because of this and that. All right, cool. She rejects me. Oh, all right. Oh, I see a pattern here. Oh, all right. But if you're not able to observe without making it personal, your own mind will trap you. It just will trap you, and it will narrow the scope of your vision. You know, so you won't be able to access higher levels of information. You know, your thinking will be less dimensional, more in the moment, more about you. But when you're able to just observe everything, you create new connections. You see things that other people couldn't see before in other people. You see what I'm saying? So you become better at reading people. Make sense? I'm talking a lot, even though that's a purpose. So you will gain deep insight as you use this process without getting frustrated. You will learn to assume things because you're not projecting it onto people. You're not attacking before you know your enemy. You first get to know your enemy and then attack. You know them and then you use that information along with past information to make your conclusion. It's not an automatic process no more. You know, you don't just say, oh, he hurt me, and then you just assume. No. You calm the fuck down. You get every information from different sources, not just one source. You get information from different sources, and then you make a conclusion. It's kind of like politics. You know, don't just look at one channel. Look at everything. You see, we see human nature most in politics in extreme ways. You know, because that's groupthink, and groupthink is the most irrational thing in the world because it has its own momentum. You know, make sense? All right. So the last benefit of understanding human nature is that these laws will increase your potential because it'll show you the power that's within you. You see, there are two selves of us: the lower self, which is the monkey side, and the higher self, the side that seeks creativity to connect with others and to get out of its own head and into habitual patterns and into the new and unknown. We want to cultivate the higher self, and that's what this book is all about. It's about cultivating your rational mind. You see what I'm saying? So everyone is ran by their monkey selves. Most of our decisions are made by emotion. Somebody hurt us, so we try to find somebody to heal our pain, an emotional decision. We don't like where we are, and so we are impatient, so we try to fast track the process. So we want to make quick money. We pick the wrong apartment because we're trying to move out as soon as possible. You know, we choose the apartment that's most expensive because we want to live in the heart of the city. And we don't make the rational decision of picking a place that's more affordable because we have a long-term goal. You see, every one of us stifles our true powers because we're making bad decisions. You see, good decisions empower us. It puts us in stronger positions, right? Because we are able to think more rationally. And so by understanding these laws of nature within yourself and others, you're going to be able to control your life in more powerful ways. And you will be able to love yourself better and also love other people. Because you're not going to say, fuck that asshole. You're going to say, all right, you understand who they are and you have even compassion for them. Doesn't mean you accept them. Doesn't mean you condone their actions, if that's the right word. But that you understand them. And that understanding leads to you dealing with people without getting scarred. Dealing with people without them changing you at a core level. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's the introduction chapter. Hey, come in. It's late. Is that open? Oh, too bad. Leave her out there. Hey, all right. All right, so that's introduction chapter. Anything you guys want to add? Any?
That was only introduction on the first chapter.
Yeah, introduction. Yeah. You skipped that? Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. You're like, what the fuck is he getting this information from? Right? Yeah. All right, so let's go on to the first chapter, and we're gonna finish in 10 minutes. And sorry, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I got the video, so you could yeah. All right, so the first chapter, it talks about rational thinking rationally, and we may not finish it, so if we don't finish it, that's okay. All right. And our rationality is our most powerful tool, right? Because if we're not rational, it means we're being like all the other animals, that they are controlled by their emotion, right? And you might think that those other animals are like, oh, they're animals, it sucks being controlled by emotion. No, it works for them. Because to them, they don't need rational thinking because they're just there to survive, right? So an animal comes, they feel an emotion of fear, they shit on themselves and they run away, right? There's no space between, they don't analyze, oh, I feel this fear, let me observe this fear, No, you just get the fuck out because the lion might eat you, right? So with animals, that emotions, their system works properly. Everything runs smoothly. With humans, it becomes complicated because we don't, the whole reacting quickly doesn't work with us because we don't have that. We use social interactions, and so we gotta feel and then observe because we don't want to offend people, and emotions causes you to offend people at a high rate. Does that make sense? Let me read this so the fundamental of irrationality is this: no one is immune to it. No one is immune to irrationality. It does. Remember when you guys were young, you were like, I would never date a guy who cheated on me. Nobody, right? We all said that one time, right? I would never date a guy who's seeing other women, right? Or I'll never cheat on the guy. That's a big one, right? Right? Oh yeah, sure. You never cheat on a guy? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Your guy's acting like a little bitch, and then suddenly there's a new dude who's the new coworker, and so and you're like, in your mind, you're like, he's a good replacement, And so in your head, you start saying, yeah, and with your guy, you start acting all mean and stuff like that, and you're hoping he breaks up with you, and then he breaks up with you, and then in 1 month, you're with another guy, right? So you didn't cheat on him. In reality, you kind of did, in a way, right? But you didn't cheat because you rationalize it. Oh, no, we were together. I didn't do nothing. So you rationalize it. But you're deceiving yourself, You could rationalize all those things, but deep down, you were acting irrational. And so you have this rational mind that somehow is able to make you think you're acting rationally when in reality you're acting irrationally. So this is the self-deception. We are all not immune. We're all not immune to it. And that's the first step, is understanding that everyone is prone to these kind of emotional responses. Just imagine how many things you did, how many things you have in your life came because of your irrational thinking. Bad credit, irrational thinking. All right? Buying food outside and never cooking your food, irrational thinking because you know what's better. Right? Just imagine all of the things you do that you know that you shouldn't be doing, you still do. That's irrational thinking. For me, it could be fucking, I don't know, this is rational, right? But irrationality could be staying at home and not working out. You're saying to yourself, I know what I should do, but I don't do it. Why is that? That's human nature working inside of you, right? And that's just not that. It expands to other areas. The more personal something is, the more blinded you are. Like parents. There's a lot of shitty parents out there that they don't know they're shitty parents, right? It extends to that. Shitty partners, right? It extends to that. And the most important thing is seeing that in yourself. Because a lot of the time, the problem is you. Sometimes when you fix yourself, for some reason, everything in your life just gets fixed. All of your relationships just gets fixed. For example, with kids, I played basketball at this YMCA, and I started noticing these kids were getting a little yappy with me. They're getting a little smart. And I'm like, these kids are not respecting me right now, and I'm not a fan of this, right? And I started noticing the reason why they weren't respecting me was because when I was with them, I felt I could like just, shoot the shit with them, And so you notice that when you shoot the shit with kids, they start treating you like one of them. And that leads to them not respecting you. And so I could have said, oh, these kids are fucking assholes, these kids are just being assholes. He's nice because he's not an asshole, so he's the rational kid. Nah, in reality, you're the problem. So as soon as I started actually not talking to them, I would go in there and play basketball. I would not even smile at them as much. Guess what? They started treating me with respect. And sometimes with people, you just cannot have. There's a problem is that sometimes you want to have a certain relationship with people. Some people you just can't. Some people, if you try to have a friendly relationship with them, it just leads to it just organically. There's a certain relationship that you have with them that it's just organic. That if you don't force it, this is what it is, right? And so when you try to change that, am I making sense, right? It's kind of like with your child. You can't be your friend with your child. You just can't. If you try to, you will be friends, but they won't respect you. That is the only way. So with kids, it's kind of like the only way you can deal with them is for you to remain rational, for you to not be their friends or just be there. It sucks, but that's what it is. And so with some people, there's just some relationships that are just the way they are. And if you try to be their friend, if you try to force the friendship, you're gonna notice that there's negative consequences to that. Am I making sense? I know it's like I haven't thought about it too much, but this is just what I was thinking. All right. Anyways, so animal reaction time versus human reaction time, right? This is notes that I took. Animals don't need to think before they react because they are in dangerous situations. So they must react and think later, like, holy shit, I almost died, right? Humans are in social situations, so they need to read cues to see if their value is high or low, to see if they're in danger or not in danger. This requires reaction time, right? We use rationality to read those signals. Most of us don't know the true source of our emotions. We try to rationalize our emotions by giving them meaning, but we don't really know the true source of all of our emotions. Like addiction could come from a place of deep boredom, right? You're just fucking bored. And you don't know where to put that energy to, right? We don't seem to have a good access to our unconscious because some emotions are hard to transcribe into language. So we can't truly learn from ourselves and our experiences. That's why it's very difficult that's why a lot of us are just victims to our emotions because we don't understand those emotions. We don't understand why we feel this way. We don't understand why we feel depressed. We don't understand why we feel this or that. It's because those emotions are very difficult to transcribe into language, right? So emotions, like I said earlier, didn't evolve for the same purpose as our rational mind. Animals don't have a neocortex, so everything runs smoothly. But we have one, so our emotions sometimes go against our logic, and that creates friction. And that causes you to hate yourself. That causes you to judge yourself, to feel guilty, right? With animals, everything runs smoothly. That's why people go back to partners that hurt them and add extra punch by judging themselves. I'm going back to this dude. God damn it, right? So it's the rational mind that can be our biggest enemy if untamed, right? And that's why we want to learn how to tame this rational mind. So, we're gonna finish this here, right? Because I see no end to this. We gotta finish this and continue this next week. All right. Any questions? Sorry, I know. Yeah, you back there. Oops. Any questions? Anything in mind? Any feedback? Any suggestions?
Where'd you guys get your books from?
What do you mean?
Where'd you get your copy of the book?
Oh well, I ordered it, so I should get.
It says it's not available till today.
Yeah, exactly.
You could pre-order it. I just got it in the mail. Oh, you got it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Europe, it's already out in Europe. Yeah. So some dudes send me screenshots of it and stuff like that. Oh, you gotta fill this sheet out. Did you fill it out? No. Yeah, fill this out. Fill the sides that are the sides that are lined and shit. Yeah.
So let's say you did everything that, I don't know if this is considered wrong, right? Let's say you did everything you said not to do.
Yeah.
How do you reverse it with a person? How do you?
Well, you
So
first.
I have an image of you now. Like,
Yeah.
how do you switch it now to?
Well, sometimes the best way is to completely pull away. have them, give them space to think, give yourself space to think, and then and observe what you did wrong, notice what you did wrong, and then you gotta let them come back. If you fucked up, then you just gotta let them come back to you. Because if you fucked up, then you trying to get back to them and say something, hey, do this, do that, would just make them more resistant. So it has to be their idea. So that's why you just gotta pull back and you work on yourself, let them think about you and stuff like that. And what happened?
What if you pull back and they're mad that you pull back?
Too bad. I mean, you need space, man. You need space. They need space. The fuck? You fucked up and they still want you there? No, they need space. They need space to think. Sometimes you gotta do what's best for you and the other person. You know. Well, you let them. You let them. You let them know that you're focusing on yourself, or that we need space. Sometimes you just gotta let them know that you need space, and that's that. If they can't accept it, then too bad. But they will accept it if they like you, though. That's what you gotta understand. You just pull away. It's all about perspective, and time is the best way to gain perspective. And you just don't have perspective when the person who's causing you your anger or whatever the hell it is there. You need to get the fuck out, or pull away, or be more busy, so that they can start missing you and stuff like that. Yeah. You see that a lot with narcissists. With narcissists, you gotta pull away, and sometimes they just don't have the ability to gain perspective. So it's gotta be like a permanent break, unfortunately. Yeah. Yep. All right, you guys gotta finish that and hit that thing. Actually, can you send it over to me on this section? You could like. How long was it? You said? 30 minutes. Damn. Sounds exactly.
So next time is next
Chapter 1. Yeah.
Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Any news on Robert Greene?
Hold on. Let me see. AirDrop. Where's the AirDrop at? Let me see. So you go to the picture. Just go to the picture and go to the first thing. Okay. So then you're gonna go right here, and then you're gonna see my AirDrops.
Any news on Robert Greene? He had a stroke, right?
What happened?
Did he have a stroke?
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's yeah.
Any news on him?
What happened?
Any news?
No, he's good. He's gonna recover. Yeah. Huh? No, Robert Greene, he had a stroke. So, but he'll recover though. That's a good thing.